Savage. Play slowly sliding out of the top 5 here, but this could be the moment here. Tayson gets eliminated by Splash and Moaka, who've been a nuisance all this day. Savage here is on the low ground. Pump out, no builds. Look, still on this fight at the very end of the day, but it is Hottie, Tripper, and Elo Crash with the 6 eliminations and the victory royale. Man, hey, we remember we were seeing this trio come to form last season. And now what a great time to get a victory royale. It looks like everybody from that northeast side of the map is racking up VRs.
Yeah, 4th place overall rolls in on a 5th height retake that happened in that game. It was crazy. Kiriachi put up a very good fight, but that should shake up the boards a little bit, at least from 2nd all the way down to 10th. Very close game overall, and a nice textbook win from, you know, the God Squad.
Hey, it's what happens when you do a turn play in a tournament and it works for you. Everything's going to work for you here on out. Nice VR. We're going to go ahead and take it to Zeke, Levin, and Reese to break it all down.
Thank you guys so much. Game number 7 on the day, but game number 3 specifically of 8 for happening today specifically. My goodness, my words are about as jumbled as this last game was. Tripper and Elecrat's Hottie's 6 eliminations and the VR. But you know, guys, there was so much more happening. Andretta sitting on 6 eliminations by himself there, and then Reason getting to make it into the top 3. Once again, the victory royale is going to be super pivotal for these teams trying to claw their way back in a top 10, even top 5, right? But there's still all these other trios where you might not see exactly what they're doing, but they're operating in the shadows, right? They're trying to get these eliminations. They're trying to be consistent with that placement, and right now it's working for them.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the big thing I think with Hoyt and the current shipping is that yesterday, Reese, we were talking about how if there was going to be a day they would do good, it would have been yesterday, right? Like everything was setting up so perfectly. Finally, they're having that good performance we sort of talked about them potentially having.
Yeah, and that's really fantastic for them, right? We saw almost that game number 1 that they had the strategy. They were 7th off the top of my head on day number 1 overall. So from then so far, they are continuing that through. I think they're going to move up big time with that victory royale that they had there, because like I said, they've been super consistent throughout the games today as well. They had a 9th, a 10th, and now the 1st as well. So they've been looking super, super strong so far, and they're definitely a contender for the 1st place at this moment.
Yeah, I'd love to kind of talk about the team doing well in 2nd place that started specifically today, okay? That's the Symptos' trio. They are looking pretty good right now, friends.
Yeah, they're looking really good. You can see they've actually got the most points today now, right? So they've now this west side of Misty. Yesterday, they were getting bullied by Andlex's team over here, but this is kind of the stuff that they have to deal with in the early game, right? Notice that Queasy has landed up on the Guardian Tower near where they're dropping, right? Which leaves Floki, Clement, and Symptos with barely any materials really that they can work with in terms of chest, sorry, because they only get 11 in that west side. So for them, they have to find out a path to get some form of loot, right? So you see them trying to rotate up to the north, and this is what they got to deal with. Queasy understands that they're going to take this rotate. He goes for the Storm Surge tags on them, and they're getting obliterated. This is already 50 of their shield gone at that moment too. But not only that, Art Skill goes with some absolute laser eyes from this distance, takes another 50 damage as they're rotating at the same time, and Lex and X-Squeeze are all focusing on them as they make this rotate. So given the circumstances that this team is currently in, that Floki, Clement, and Deceptos are in their early game, only having 11 chests, the fact that they have gained the most points, absolutely outstanding in all honesty, and that has pushed them up into 7th when they were somewhere in the 10th till 20th range at the end of day number 1.
Yeah, actually, man, when you frame it like that and you see all the teams they're having to deal with, it is insane. But look, you can see Pink, Nebs, and Stompy sitting in 1st place with a 5-point lead, which isn't much. Crash and Tripping with that victory royale are now sitting in 2nd as well. And Rescott and Jera and Mr. Savage we saw win a couple games ago in 3rd, but it's still very fine margins towards the top. And you know, with Vino, Tayson, and Reason seeming to be in a bit of form now, Hendrix and Chapik still kicking it. A lot of the top contenders are finally starting to find a bit of a rhythm now, Reese.
Yeah, and definitely, you already mentioned Vino's team as well. Like that's the big one, right? Where they were 13th, they were struggling really badly with Storm Surge yesterday in that first game, and then in the other ones, they just really weren't able to capitalize on the rest of them, right? They weren't able to get the big point games that they're known for. But now, the last 2 games, a 6th and then a 3rd, and the one before that, they were 10th as well. So the points that they've gained today have almost been more than they managed to obtain yesterday overall. Still with tons of games left remaining, which is crazy from them. Hen's still in it, Kiriachi's still in it, Refscar's still in it. Obviously, Hotty's team is doing super well alongside Pink as well. But if we move over to the next page, we're going to see those teams who now are going to have to speed up a little bit. City Committee being one of them.
Yeah, and as you can see, right, there are some teams here on this page who, you would expect maybe to be a bit higher. I think when you look at last game in particular, Benji, Shadow, Joe, those guys, there was a stage where they took height. It seems like they're falling victim, right, of, one of the many teams who look to try and take height, but just isn't able to hold it well enough when it counts. And so they're struggling there. Queasy, Trulix, and Juriku probably feel the same, right? They've had their stretches in that period, but generally, things are starting to shape up how maybe you would have expected, right? A lot of the top dogs really getting involved, and it's making this finish a lot more interesting.
There's all these trios, man. I'm telling you, everyone has their eyes set on first place, and I like to see that. Now, remember, we have another 5 games to play. So a lot of these teams, as now they're warm, we're going to see some... There it is. You heard the battle bus, which means we got to jump back into game. Shy Wager, Sancho West. Let's do this one more time.
Thank you so much, Zeke. It is game 8, and we're getting the battle bus ready. And wow, talking about a new name on the scene that's been developing. This is not a surprise to me. Is it a surprise to you, Shia, that they were able to rack?
I think it was inevitable. I didn't expect it this kind of early. I thought it'd be kind of later, but they've been trying for it, every single day from Walls to, this point now, getting that win, upsetting height. It finally happened, and it might again.
Yeah, and this is what we was talking about. Tayson was going toe-to-toe against Elocras during the last season. We're just seeing what kind of moxie that trio has in Tripper there. And they've been doing really well third party into Steamy Stacks. But here we go. This is basically as if we're getting into it. We still have so many games left to go. So nothing is guaranteed. Do not write this game off. There's no champion yet that is going to be in the running. I mean, this is what's so exciting, that so many people are close. And hey, we already seen a big 50 bomb throw down by Aqua's trio. So all it takes is a huge pop-off game, double digits, and the victory round. And we're just seeing right here, it is possible, as Buzz, who did make it to in-game, now goes down to Psy, which it looks like to me, it looks like Psy's trio has moved somewhere else.
Looks like Trippin and Elocras might be forced to move into not the land of the living in a second. Barely even landed yet. Being down to 99 and 50 HP respectively. They're gonna have a rude awakening to the start of this game. Meanwhile, Stompy, Nebs, they're gonna be rolling. Falcon Lee, ZQ here too. Kezek still alive. Not sure if these trios will collide. They do. Falcon Lee, Nebs gonna be the first points of engagement. All 3 players from both sides ready to fight for the 8th time in the finals.
You just got to hold your breath every time. And what's been happening, though, when Falcony wins this engagement, Shio, is that they get pushed out into the open. But like you mentioned, if Nebs, Pink, and Stompy could hunker down, go into these basements, make it where it's not worth fighting, then they can survive. But just look at this. This is the pressure that they're feeling right now. Engage, because they know what's at stake, because they're sitting in first place by only 5 points, because Hottie, Elocras, and Tripper right there, they're going to be able to stay on their feet. We've been seeing them get to in-game. What was that stat? They were there in the top 10 multiple times already here in the finals.
Yeah, and when it comes to Stompy, he's just used to winning games entirely. When it comes to the entire trio, survive towards the end. Even here, it's kind of the same scenario of contestation over 8 games, but the difference is I don't think anyone here, all 6 players out of all of them, want to disengage.
It feels like it's cooled down here. That's what we're seeing here. The intensity is getting up here. Again, this would be technically the 2nd game here of day 2, but we'll be going at it for a while here. And and Shredda gets greeted with a parting gift right there, and that's gonna give the Malibu Cuz trio happy right now, because we just got a huge Storm Surge tag. We're just gonna keep rolling out.
Yeah, they want to be careful, because I think this is where Hottie and his entire trio that won the last game like the third party as well when they hear that fight happening, especially when zone is kind of further away. So a good identification there for Malibuca to be able to just break away, go all the way towards the zone. I see that green arrow on the beach. on the bottom right of your screen. Very close. They look forward, see no shots really firing. I don't think Hottie will come through towards Steamy this time. That being said, Savage gets to play. And on the other side, the Loop Boys don't. Zestin taken out. Exterios is looking for the next shot too. Hydro might be in a little bit of trouble.
I gotta wonder here. Looks like this kind of corny complex has pushed Red Rush outside to mid-map, and that's into the chaotic arms of Hydros and the Loop Boy code. Rate as they duo here. They're getting beams here from the people up there on that Defiant dish here, but Hydro back being Zestin, they're getting to mid game here. They're doing really well, but it is these risky engagement that they're taking that, as you mentioned here, instigating, causing chaos against people who just want to rotate. They just want to get tagged, they want to rotate, but the Loop Boys are here to fight.
They want to get that surge done. Might come at a cost of a teammate, but they do have Zestin's card right now, so they can't go overboard with an Exterios. Hydro must have forgotten about the box fight he was doing right below his current lair. He gets a big tag, tries to get the whole way away, but Hydro drops down the last one in his trio. He gets deleted.
And so much pressure coming from those mountain ranges. He went down for the high flying maneuver, was hoping to get that hit with the pump as Mappy is going to roll out here. But you're seeing a little bit more of adjustments are happening. Mappy, Asterios, and Red Rush, I don't know. I got to take a look here. Is Benji still up on his feet? It looks like so far, yes. They've been pushed out. Yes, he does get a knock against Sean. So Benji has been doing really well. And Benji, but Benji's been having corny complex locked down in the entire finals.
Really have. Sean VP though, I mean, they've kind of been making end as well. We'll be staying a little bit of that power away from Benji for now. Looking at the state of the whole game to this zone, Central again, anything could really happen when it comes to center type zones that have corny, weeping, bony in them. It's just kind of a game of control, and a lot of people get to play at the weeping. You see a lot of people mid-game get into trouble in a lot of fights because they're battling for mountains, battling for position.
And this is zone 1. It is center here. So if you're Hen, Genesis, and Chapix fans, they're up here. They've been making these rotations that goes all the way towards the dirty dock side, and they kind of hook into. But every time they do that, yeah, they're getting a lot of eliminations, and that's why they were averaging the most after day 1. But it really cost them their placement that they're known for. And that is a trio that's just slowly there. They're looming. They're in the shadows. They're in 6th place coming into game 8. And you're just waiting for it. Because, again, one pop-off game and you're there. There's the people at the top of the board. They're being contested. Who knows? Hottie, Elocrash, and Tripper could get dunked on at Dinky Dish, or maybe they go for a third party. Revscar being contested at their Steamy Stacks. Kirachi may be contested with 7. So the opportunity is there for him, Genesis, and Chapix to win another FNCS championship.
Definitely is, but they have to put in the work to get all the way back towards that top side. 6th place currently right now. They have a lot to do in terms of jumping into first. They have to be even more consistent than they are right now. For Pink to hold on to 186 points, that 10-15 point lead reduced to now just 5 ahead of Hottie, Elocrash, and Tripper. They're going to be going right past Rito Roll a little bit, attracting the attention of Mcnup, who must have won, and the entire trio eats another sniper rifle shot. Before it was Stompy, this time it's Pink. They don't have that many chests to work off of because remember, they disengaged, they never even won the entire fight. So all the damage they take, it'll actually hurt a lot more comparatively to other trios.
And Size Trio has decided to go from Rito Row over to that Defiant Dish where Ingram is. Ingram has not been doing well when he's contested. We've seen this time and time and again, even in the qualifiers and semifinals. So they're going to have a little bit more power against Stompy. This is a crucial juncture for this trio here if they want to hold on to that #1 spot.
There's still 4 games to go after this. We'll have to hold on for a long time.
Just hold on. They would just want to go home. You know what I mean? Just hold on. They want to go home. That's what they want.
Reason, Taste, and Vino, I feel like this is the biggest surprise of the day overall. We were expecting a lot more domination, a lot more, I don't know, loudness in the conversation when it comes to playing for height, when it comes to being active at endgame, but it seems like they're just looking for clutch situations, looking to fly by. And right now I'm looking at Nebs, and I'm kind of worried because there's 3 teams around him, and he's got no shield.
No shield. And this is it here. Stompy, Nebs, and Pink. We were talking about them earlier. Now they have to survive this juncture right now. And Red Rush, Mapping, and Asterios, they're here to put a little bit more pressure into this fight. A little bit more messy here. And you don't want to fight around that upgrade station because sometimes you can't build to it. It gets a little bit weird. Neb, Stompy, and Peak are going to retreat back into metal builds here as the Steros, Red Rush, and Mappy here are going to go ahead and pick up. Making up here inside is just has to totally disengage and get out of here. Now, quickly before, you mentioned Vino, Tayson, and Reason, right? They are at least, they're turning it around. Past 2 games, 6th place and 3rd place. So, hey, they're putting it together. They got about 94 points. They're doing a lot better than day one.
Usually ramping up for something good. The only issue I have with that team right now is they don't have, like, you know, that big power game coming in. They've kind of been scraps overall, but winning you feels like you might have to have, you know, that one victory royale that really puts you all the way up in the lead. Sai getting taken out. I don't think by Stompy entirely. We'll see with the stomp right here because I didn't see the knock. They'll shake down to have a little bit of an idea to see where people are. It was Pink. Yep. Now Micking Up might be hunted down in these builds.
What a great response, though. They were in builds and metal retreating, but with the power, I believe they have that chug cannon. They were able to respond, get back into fighting health here. It's going to go for the edit through, trying to push through, and yes, pushes him right into his teammates' hands there. And Pink cleans up that. Well, again, I was going to social media to see what Stompy was saying. Pink responds, I helped carry him there. So that's what you love to see, teammates going back and forth and having fun with it all. But right now, we talked about it, that ultimate third party. Now it's got to bled through these rotations right now.